Welcome back, everyone, to our ongoing exploration. Today, we're continuing with Review 5, focusing again on that central theme. God is but love, and therefore so am I.
That's right. We've laid the groundwork for what that theme means, and now we're looking at how specific lessons connect back to it. Today, it's Review Lesson 179.
And this one brings together lessons 167 and 168. Now, for many of you listening, these ideas, these lessons, they might ring a bell from our earlier talks. What I find really valuable about these review lessons is that, well, the different emphasis they bring. It's deeper somehow.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I appreciate, too. They give us a chance to revisit things, let them, settle in more deeply. It's not just intellectual understanding. It starts to actually change how you live day to day.
Yeah, it's kind of like rereading a book you love, isn't it? You always find new things, new layers you just didn't see the first time around. It's more than just a refresher.
It's an invitation to go deeper.
Okay, so with that in mind, let me read today's lesson.
Sounds good.
Lesson 179, God is but love, and therefore so am I. Lesson 167, there is one life, and that I share with God. Lesson 168, your grace is given me, I claim it now.
Powerful lines, just hearing them again like that.
Yeah. So when we start to unpack these, the first thing that really jumps out, I think, is this idea of one life shared with God. It's presented as a direct counter to feeling isolated.
It's meant to be a radical shift. The Course talks about something it calls death thinking,
Right.
which is basically the belief that you can be separate, that you can be cut off from your source, from life itself. But this lesson is saying, no, recognize your real state, your spiritual reality. In that reality, separation just isn't possible. It's an illusion.
And that ties directly into the second part about grace.
If you're inherently connected, if separation is impossible, then grace isn't something you need to, bargain for or earn.
Right. It's always there because of that connection.
And the key phrase there is, I claim it now. It's active. It's about claiming, not just hoping or waiting passively.
Okay, so let's dig into these ideas a bit more. How do they actually work?
The Course takes these really profound concepts, like the fundamental nature of existence, and makes them practical for daily life. Think about just waking up in the morning.
Oh, yeah. Alarm goes off. Maybe you reach for your phone.
And instantly your mind starts running through the to-do list, the worries, the challenges ahead.
Definitely.
But what if in those very first moments you actually held on to that thought, there is one life, and that I share with God? Seriously, how might that just immediately shift the feeling, the quality of your whole day starting out?
That's a powerful question. It changes the starting point.
That's the invitation, really. It's not asking you to force yourself to believe something fake. It's asking you to remember what it says is already true.
So when you find yourself feeling anxious, maybe you're stuck in a queue somewhere or dealing with a frustrating call or just feeling uncertain about what's next.
That anxiety itself, according to the Course, is a form of that death thinking. It's that underlying assumption that we can be separate from our source, from life, from love. And that assumption then shows up as anxiety or feelings of lack or judging ourselves or others.
It's not just having negative thoughts. It's seeing reality through this lens of separation where life feels limited or, absent in some way.
Right. And every single time you catch yourself in that spiral of worry, that's actually a choice point.
Instead of just following the worry deeper and deeper into feeling separate and afraid.
You can pause. Just pause and remember, okay, this feeling, this anxiety, the sense of being alone or powerless, it's not actually reflecting reality. It's like a mental fog, a kind of sleep state.
But, okay, let's be real. What about genuine difficulties? People might think, look, my stress about my job is real. My relationship problems are real. My health worries are real. This one life idea sounds nice, but maybe a bit naive.
That's a really important point. The lesson isn't saying the forms of challenges aren't real. The external difficulties, the situations, they're definitely happening.
Okay.
But what it is suggesting is that your core self, your fundamental safety, your connection to life itself that has never actually been threatened. So when something genuinely hard happens, there's this possibility of pausing before immediately jumping to that place of, oh no, how am I going to handle this all by myself? Or this is terrible. What if this ruins everything?
And instead, remembering.
Yeah. Remembering that whatever intelligence created you, whatever life force flows through you and everything, that hasn't suddenly disappeared. It's not dependent on your circumstances changing.
It's like an unwavering background presence. It defines you more than the temporary problem does.
Exactly. And that leads us right into the power of grace. If one life is the foundation, then grace is how we actually tap into that reality, how we activate it in our experience.
Right. The second part of the lesson, your grace is given me. I claim it now.
And for anyone, who maybe grew up with religious ideas where grace felt conditional or something you had to strive for, this can feel revolutionary.
It really can. The idea that it's just there.
It's almost like having, a huge inheritance you forgot you had. The support was always there. You just need to remember the access code, so to speak.
So what would it actually look like or feel like to live from that place, to go through your day with this quiet, underlying confidence that whatever you need?
Yeah, the wisdom for a decision, the strength to face something, the peace when things feel chaotic, the clarity, it's already available.
Not because you did something amazing to deserve it,
but just because that's the nature of your connection to reality, to God, to love.
There's that line the Course uses, and he descends to meet us as we come to him. I always found that image so gentle.
It is, isn't it? It's not some distant God demanding you climb an impossible mountain.
No.
It's describing love that literally moves towards you the moment you turn your attention towards it. The instant you even just lean in that direction, you're met.
That resonates with experiences many people have, I think. Those moments when you're dealing with something really tough.
And then suddenly, maybe seemingly out of nowhere, there's a shift.
Yeah. Maybe you're just sitting quietly or walking outside or even mid-conversation, and the weight just lifts. Your perspective changes.
And you remember who you really are underneath all the drama and the struggle. The struggle, the feeling of separation, that's the temporary dream. The peace, the connection, that's what's actually real.
But this doesn't mean striving for some kind of perfection, right?
Yeah.
Or never feeling human emotions again.
Not at all. When the Course talks about perfect joy or being supremely happy, it's not suggesting you have to paste on a fake smile all the time. It's pointing to a deeper kind of contentment, an inner okayness that can actually exist alongside the full spectrum of human feelings.
So you can feel genuinely sad about something that's happened.
And still know, on a deeper level, that your fundamental well-being is secure. You can feel angry or frustrated, but still maintain that connection to the life within you.
So the lesson isn't about bypassing our humanity.
No, it's about remembering our divinity within our humanity, alongside it.
So practically speaking then, where does this leave us? What can you actually do with this?
Well, maybe the invitation for this week is just to pay attention. Pay attention to those moments when you feel most cut off, most afraid, most separate.
Okay.
Not to judge yourself for feeling that way, but just to notice them as opportunities to practice remembering.
And in those moments, what would it actually mean to say, maybe just quietly to yourself, I'm not alone in this?
Sure. Or I'm connected to something bigger. Or even just a simple, I am loved. Whatever phrase helps you open that door back to connection.
Because ultimately, that's what these lessons offer, right? Not a new set of rules to follow, but a doorway.
A doorway back to what you, at your deepest level, have actually always known.
That you aren't separate. You aren't truly alone. You aren't just at the mercy of whatever happens externally.
You share life with the source of all life. And that relationship is what defines you, fundamentally, not whatever temporary dream of separation you might be caught up in.
So the invitation is just, remember this more often. Let it inform how you approach your day.
And just notice. Notice how different things feel when you're operating from that foundation of connection, rather than from fear or that sense of being separate.
Give it a try. See what happens.
And be gentle with yourself. This is a process. We're all learning to wake up from that dream together.
How does this work in a moment where things just feel heavy? Let's paint a picture, and I bet some of you listening have felt this. Wake up. Look at the clock. Do not want to get out of bed. What's the point? Maybe you're still looking for work, feeling really lonely. The weather's awful. Life just feels bleak, you know?
Yeah, that's a relatable scenario for sure.
So how could today's lesson actually help right there in that moment?
Okay, let's break it down. Step 1, just recognize what's happening, but without beating yourself up about it. You're in what the Course might call a death state, experiencing life as if it's separate, cut off, hopeless. The Course would say that feeling of life sucks is basically the mind dreaming it's powerless. But, and this is key, you don't need to feel guilty about it. The lesson explicitly says, even when his mind remains asleep, he loves him still.
Okay, so step 1 is non-judgmental recognition. What's step 2?
Make the connection between your thoughts and how you're feeling. Notice that, okay, unemployed, lonely, bad weather, those are circumstances. But the conclusion, life sucks, that's a thought. And thoughts, as we know the Course teaches, create our experience. They don't leave their source. So you are generating this feeling of hopelessness from your own mind.
Which isn't about blame, it's actually empowering if I'm creating it.
You can create something different, exactly. Step 3, remember the truth about who you are. This is where there is one life, and that I share with God becomes really practical.
Right there in bed, feeling cut off.
You can remind yourself, okay, wait. My worth isn't tied to my job status. My connection to life itself isn't dependent on having people around me this very second. My inner peace isn't actually controlled by the weather. There's a life flowing through me that's way bigger than these temporary circumstances.
Okay, step 4.
Claim your grace. Your grace is given me. I claim it now. And this isn't about pretending you suddenly feel amazing. It's about acknowledging that even in this really difficult feeling, you have access to something beyond that feeling. Maybe claiming grace just looks like asking, okay, what would love have me see differently here? Or how can I just be a little kinder to myself right now? Or simply help me remember who I really am.
And then step 5.
Take one small action, but take it from that place of remembering, not from the despair. Maybe it literally is just swinging your legs out of bed and making coffee. Maybe it's deciding to call just one person. Maybe it's just stepping outside onto the porch for 5 minutes, even if the weather sucks.
The specific action isn't the magic bullet.
No, it's the shift in the source of the action. Are you moving from that remembered connection, from the truth of who you are? Or are you moving from the story of separation and hopelessness?
Even just being willing to consider this other perspective.
Willingness is huge in the Course. Just trying this approach, opening the door a crack, can start to shift things. It's not about mastering an ideology overnight.
That makes sense. It feels doable.
Yeah.
We actually got a question from a listener that ties into this whole theme of grace and circumstance really well.
Oh, great.
They write, when I look at my life, I see where things could have been disastrous but weren't. I feel gratitude. But then I see other people in similar circumstances who became homeless or ill, and I wonder why I was spared. How do I deal with these feelings?
Oh, wow. That is such a profound and honest question, and I think many, many people wrestle with that exact feeling.
Yeah, it's that thing, isn't it? You start to recognize grace, these moments of protection or blessing in your own life.
And then almost immediately, you become hyper-aware of situations where others seem to be experiencing the total opposite. Suffering, lack, disaster.
And it creates this real discomfort, almost like a survivor's guilt, but on a spiritual level. You want to feel grateful, but then you feel bad about feeling grateful when you see others suffering.
What's really interesting about this question, listening to it through the lens of today's lesson, is how it actually reveals that death thinking we were talking about.
How so?
The question itself rests on the assumption that grace is conditional, that some people get it and others don't, that love is somehow selective, that there are winners and losers, the spared and the unsaved.
Ah, I see. It assumes separation is real and grace is unevenly distributed.
Exactly. But what does the lesson say? There is one life, and that I share with God.
Not some people share life with God.
And others are left out? No. One life. The implication is that everyone, all of creation, participates in this same fundamental life, the same source of love.
So when you see someone experiencing homelessness or illness, the Course isn't saying they lack grace or are being punished.
No, it's suggesting they're having a different experience within the same fundamental reality that you are also in. Their experience is taking a different form right now.
Okay, so instead of seeing my sparing from disaster as proof that I'm special and they're not.
What if you saw your experience as evidence that grace itself is real and available? Your fortunate circumstance isn't proof of your separation from them, but proof of what's ultimately possible for everyone, because that love is universal.
That reframes it significantly.
Think about it. When you feel gratitude for, say, not being homeless, that gratitude is you recognizing the presence of love, of support in your life. The Course would argue that the very same love is equally present in the life of the person who is currently homeless, even if their outer experience doesn't seem to reflect it right now.
Because grace is given, not earned. I wasn't spared because I did something right that they did wrong.
Precisely. Grace is always operating. In that instance, you experienced its effect in a form you could easily recognize as fortunate.
Okay, but some listeners might be thinking, isn't this just spiritual bypassing? Are you saying we should just feel grateful and maybe pray for people suffering instead of actually doing something?
Not at all. That's a crucial misunderstanding. In fact, truly recognizing the one life you share with others should naturally lead to more compassion and more inspired action, not less.
How did that work?
If you genuinely understand there's no real separation between you and the person who appears to be suffering, then your gratitude for your own well-being doesn't lead to complacency. It becomes fuel. It becomes motivation to extend that same sense of safety, support, and love to others.
So my awareness of grace in my life becomes a kind of calling.
To be an instrument of grace in someone else's life, yes.
So practically, for the listener who asked the question, how do they deal with those feelings?
First, absolutely allow the feeling of gratitude. Feel it fully. Don't layer guilt on top of it. Recognizing grace is never wrong. Second, consciously use that gratitude as fuel for connection, not separation. Shift the internal question from, why was I spare when they weren't, to something like, given this awareness of grace, how can I best serve? How can I extend this?
And that extension could take many forms. Volunteering, donating, advocating.
Or just ensuring you treat every single person you meet with the dignity that reflects their inherent worth, regardless of their circumstances.
And third,
remember that we never see the whole picture. That person experiencing homelessness or illness, we have no idea what their full inner journey is. We don't know what lessons they might be learning or how grace might actually be operating in their life in ways completely invisible to us.
That's so important. We can't judge inner states by outer circumstances. We've all met people facing huge challenges who have this incredible inner peace or gratitude.
Absolutely. When we automatically assume that someone in difficult circumstances is experiencing less grace or less joy than we are, we're falling back into that trap the lesson warns about, judging by appearances, forgetting the one life that animates everyone.
Yeah. Some of the most spiritually awake individuals have gone through what the world calls disasters. They found something profound in those experiences.
Our task isn't really to figure out the cosmic why behind suffering or the apparent unevenness of grace. That can be a mental rabbit hole. Instead, let our own experiences of grace make us more loving, more present to that fundamental connection, that one life we all share.
Because ultimately the lesson teaches that if I truly get there is one life and I share it with God, then I have to realize everyone else shares that exact same life too.
Exactly. And then gratitude isn't a source of separation anymore. It becomes a bridge to deeper compassion, understanding, and service.
Okay, so as we wrap up our exploration for today, let's really hold on to that feeling, that liberating awareness. Our connection to the source of life, to love, it's unwavering. It's always there.
Yeah. This lesson is such a powerful reminder. We're constantly held, constantly supported by this unconditional love. And recognizing that really does change everything. It gives you this inner stability that circumstances can't really touch.
That's a key point. It reframes how we even look at suffering. So maybe this week, try carrying that core idea with you.
Just hold it lightly in your mind.
Yeah. And in those moments of doubt or fear or challenge, just pause for a second and remember, I share one life with God. Grace has given me. I claim it now. Or your own version of that.
And just notice. Gently observe how that simple act of remembering might shift your experience, even just a little bit.
We really appreciate you joining us for this conversation today.
We hope it sparked some deeper insights for your own practice. Keep exploring, keep noticing.
And we look forward to connecting with you again soon as we continue this journey together.
Thanks for listening.